whether you're looking to get, I said, or admitted in a college, or whether you're a graduate student seeking to further education, doing a master, doing a PhD, or wanting to get into a specialized school, like trying to be a physician, a surgeon, a biotechnologist, or simply looking to satisfy a career based on your aspiration, the last step you have to overcome is to successfully succeed in your interview process. Again, regardless of how your GPA is great, regardless whether you have an amazing resume or not, whether you come from an amazing universities supported by great letter of recommendation, at the end, the last step you still have to go through successfully to ensure your admission is still a very simple interview. Now, for so many people, okay, who are aspiring to be a surgeon, physician, whatever, something in the healthcare or in any other area of your expertise, okay, the MMI or succeeding during the interview is a key to your dream career. For others, the MMI is just an admission with a unique feature, which is to go through a series of 8-minute short interviews. Both of them are right. In fact, the MMI is indeed an interview format, but not like any other traditional interview process. We are familiar with or any traditional interview our customers with. It is a new paradigm interview. Why? And here's the reason why. Let's see the what goes in terms of notion between traditional interview and multiple mini interview. Okay. The traditional interview is first a resume-based interview, which means the interview will ask questions based on your resume or on your resume or on your experience and whatever your education is. Okay, so while the mini interview or the mini interview, yes, has the advantage of seeing many people. We're going to showcase your story with different people, and therefore they will see you differently. You won't repeat the same mistake or be perceived doing the same mistake. And at the end, the evaluation will be more reliable, whether you're going to get the offer or not. Okay. The traditional interview, all you have to do is be prepared to answer certain questions. So most of the time, you know what to expect because they will ask you a question about your resume, nothing else. And most of the time I put here the halo effect. If somebody like martial art, you meet him, you talk to him about the martial art, that's it. You put a halo, you put a filter, and he sees through that. Instead of asking you a question about your resume, he'll be talking about topics that are related to your love, your common love. And most of the time you get accepted. In the past, anybody I coached through a traditional interview got a job. Because all I had to do is squeeze the resume and just teach people how to answer. And you go through all kinds of possibilities to answer the question. Any traditional interview is a piece of cake. I used to tell my the people who come to my coaching, just use the 20-40-40 rule, which is 20% you search the company, 40% you prepare the question, you do a link between the history of the company or the people you're going to meet, and as well the question you think they're going to ask you about your resume, and just to practice the answer. You go all kinds of answers. You choose the word, you have thesaurus, you have, and that's it. And you go there and you just memorize. Unlike the MMI, I want you to remember this forever when I'm going to share this with you. You don't know the question. you don't know what to expect, because they're going to evaluate the real you. The real inner candidate is evaluated to the process. And you have to be prepared not to be prepared, not for something unexpected. You go there, this is the first time you're going to hear a question that you never thought. And if you can imagine those questions, you are insane. They will tell you, for instance, who would you prefer to go first, to die first, your father or your mother? No matter how you think it, how you slice it, you would never think about this question. So those questions are unexpected questions. And it's not just about critical thinking. I'm coming to that later on, okay? So in the traditional interview, usually the questions are not problem-solving question. They don't give too much insight into the candidate problem-solving abilities. They just tell you, how did you do that? How do you, and that's it. Well, in the multiple mini interviews, it gives insight not only into the candidate problem-solving abilities and critical thinking, but also about his professionalism, his ethics, his communication, verbal and non-verbal, and also his empathy. Okay, they will give you a question like that. Okay, in the traditional interview is like a map full of biases. This is a lot of favoritism. Moreover, age, race, gender, and other key aspects of candidate identity can trigger an impression that isn't just wrong sometimes, but may also violate the law if relied upon to make actual hiring decision. Sometimes people ask some question or make some assumption that may affect your decision just because you're old, because you're maybe chubby, maybe you are not good looking, or color, or whatever. Okay, so they have this kind of biases. And like the multiple mini interviews, they're immune to biases. The MMI designed to be totally impartial, almost sheltered to all form of favoritism. Why? I saw a girl who is maybe doing some research study. It is based on what I call the double blind study. Anybody knows about this? The double blind study principle? No.
Yeah.
You know, huh? So it's help you because you go from one candidate to another, one station to another, and the people, they don't know each other. People who are gonna give you the interview, they don't know each other. Okay, in each station, if you go to the ethical station, they ask about ethics, and the people who are there to assess your answer will be there for the rest of the day or of the MMI session. All they do ask people about that specific question. So they don't have the opportunity to convince or to dilute their views in other people's minds. Okay, like even in the panel interview. Okay, so you have the opportunity to balance, because the purpose of the MMI is to gather as many as possible objective assessment, and at the end to acquire a collective assessment on who you are as a person, but based on your, remember this, soft skills. Okay, when I say soft skills again, empathy, professionalism, critical thinking, professionalism, communication, and so forth. And yet, I'm a foreigner. I'm not foreigner, but I'm Canadian, but I'm immigrant, or from Algeria. I used to push my kids only just give me a good mark. I'm going to go sport. No, don't. I want you just to study and study and study. I did that mistake with my daughter, who is presently a pediatric gastroenterologist. She teaches at Western University, and she's also a medical professor. You know, when she went for her first MMI, she failed. And like my son, who is an Air 5 surgeon resident, he's going to be surgeon next year. I had the opportunity to prompt him about the MMI. That's the difference. I told him he goes sport, he did hockey, he did martial art, all kind of activities, travel the world, get involved in many, many activities. And at the end, when he went to, he was invited only to two interviews, and he got both. Okay, so that's the difference between the two. Okay, here's an example. For instance, the reason why I called you MMI, I'll go deeper after that, why I called it a new paradigm. Do you know that last year, just in McMaster, more than 5,000 applied, 5,270 people, and they rejected 5,000. They hired only 206. Does it make sense to you? No. Okay. In Queen's University, 4,683 students applied. They took only 100. Does it make sense? It doesn't make sense.
This is medical school, right?
This is medical school, yes. And what I forgot to mention, thank you very much, Dave, is that presently, after COVID, and maybe even prior to COVID, there is a paradigm shift in hiring people. Now there is a lot of people out there, companies are closing, there's a lot, so many companies are shifting from the traditional interviews to the, what they called the profit HR. It's a different form of MMI, but for corporation. So now people are not just asking to read, he said, I have your resume, I've seen it. Now let's talk about something else. And they start asking you about really deep question like the MMI. Okay, and you go through different, not station, but they will have different group. They will tell you, I want you to be interviewed today by Dave. Dave will give me his input. Our Dave, I'm talking about our Dave, he is excellent in when it comes to leadership and so forth. He will give me his input about empathy, about leadership skills, about motivation and what's trigger. I will send him to Eddie. Eddie is global. He's a CFO, he's analytical, he's also sales, wasn't it? So he will give me his input. And at the end, we gather all the results and we'll refine our conclusion. So
5 more minutes, okay? Thank you.
Yes, I'm coming there, okay. So how would you think now that prior to being invited, listen to this, the candidate should have an excellent GPA, 3.7. You know, he has to present a very compelling or outstanding resume. Not only that, he's expected to have successfully completed his MCAT. MCAT is a 7.5 hours exam where there is 4 sections: biochemistry, anatomy, all that they will learn in the school, in addition to the CARS. CARS called, the section for CARS is called critical analysis and reasoning skills. This is like a mini critical thinking exam, and they will ask all kinds of scenarios there. Okay. In addition, most universities in Canada, they will require that you have successfully passed the CASPER test. CASPER test is also, it's a computer-based assessment on your soft skills, and you do it online. This is before, and yet being successful in all these 4, you are not sure yet if you're going to make it to the MMI. Okay, so now here's, as you can see here, most of them here have 3.8 average, and most of them, they have the MCAT. Of course, in Quebec, it's not required. McMaster not required because they created they are the one who designed the CASPER and as well as the MMI. Okay, and also the HR Profit has also been designed by McMaster. But the MCAT is almost required everywhere. Ottawa, they will ask you a minimum 3.9 GPA. That is the reason now UFT or our doctors in Canada are the best in the world, UST came last, was ranked fifth last year. And they were like 3 years ago, they were maybe not even classified among the top 20. Each year, those criteria are pushed. Now, when I see students studying crazy and not investing in their leadership, communication skills, and many other area, intangible area, I feel sorry for them. And the shock is, you would never guess, I said paradigm, never guess that a student with a 4.0 and 4 not getting into the medical school, not being accepted. I had 2 last year. I had 2 that I reached in my program. When they told me they have 4, I couldn't believe that. It's sad for the parents. It's drama. It's really, really shocking. After 4 years, like really excellent marks, and you don't make it. It's not only that.
Sorry to jump in. You got 2 more minutes.
Yes, I'm almost done, my friend. So, and yet I don't mention the cost involved or related to an average. Just in Ontario, it costs you around $900 just to apply. Besides, if you want to take some courses in MCAT or Casper, it costs you $4,000, $3,000 to $4,000, easy, like the USMLE. Okay, the transcript. Okay, and sometimes if they apply all over the country, we want to increase their ratio. We have also to send them. So you pay bills, you send the travel ticket. You know, and in addition, we tell them, do some community work to enhance their resume. So at the end of the day, like you see, they're all great, they're all connected, they have access to everything. Everything is equally excellent, where a performance is reaching the top. Like they're all A student. What do you think? There is an opportunity to innovate. You have to invest on yourself. Okay? And, you know, they said planning to fail, training to plan is planning to fail, yes. About 60% spent only 4 hours before any job interview, MMI. 28 between 5 and 9 hours. Only 12% spent 10 hours. As you can see, there's a correlation between the success ratio at MMI, which is below 10%, and people who spend 10 hours. And I can guarantee you all the people I met for the MMI spent less than 4 hours, and they wing it. I think it's just because they were very successful, automatically they're going to make it in the MMI. In our program, MMI Made Easy, most of the people spend between 8 to 10 weeks just to prepare for the MMI. That's why my ratio is 100%. Anybody I send, and I make them work hard, okay? So how long it does to prepare? As long as it takes. So, you know, and here's what people forget. The only people that are going to be accepted here is not to be an average guy, because everybody is a student. And suddenly, he said, when the paradigm shifts, everything go back to zero. You are like anybody. You are not the star. People are coming from all over the world. China, Hong Kong, you know, USA, because the program also is available to American in Kingston, plenty of American, and you have to be among the top 1 to 3%. And for that, what do you need to do? Okay, have a vivid purpose, creative planning, because while you're preparing your MMI, you're also studying, you're finishing because it's the last year. In intense preparation, like you gotta go through some scenario, like unbelievable scenario, a clear practice of some principles. Because if you neglect those principles, you make one mistake in an ethical assessment, you're done. You can't afford to any mistake. It's almost zero defect. Okay? That's it, guys.